looks like he failed to appear at sentence and took his tether off all around the same time.
True. But it was the parole, it's our position, Your Honor, that his parole officer removed the tether.
Welcome to Rebel Chaser. My name is Gail, and this clip comes from Judge Buchanan at Michigan's 54th District Court. She has a gentleman in her courtroom. There's some confusion as to who cut off his tether and why. I don't want to give it away. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please let me know what you think in the comments.
Are you ready, Mr. Abbott?
Yes, we are.
Okay. On the record in State of Michigan versus Linear Ray 2202270FY.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dale Coltrader on behalf of the people.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. John Abbott with the Public Defender's Office representing Lanier Ray. He's standing to my right.
And you, sir, you're Linear Ray.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Back in September of 22, Mr. Ray entered a plea to a misdemeanor MDOP 200 to 1,000. We set the case for sentencing. Unfortunately, November of 22, Mr. Ray did not show up for sentence. He also did not cooperate with the pre-sentence investigation. He has since apparently been arrested on the warrant, and here we are today. We have I guess, some form of a pre-sentence recommendation, but it's primarily based on the fact that Mr. Ray didn't cooperate. Mr. Coltrider, do the people wish to be heard on sentence or, I guess, restitution or any of that?
I think there was restitution submitted. I think the amount was $781 and some change, 13.
Correct.
And I think that was the deductible plus the insurance company did not pay for tires and labor for tires.
Okay, so what you're saying is you would affirm that amount of restitution?
Yes, I would indicate, I'm sure Progressive might have some type of claim here. But
Yeah, I think the original plea contemplated a greater amount of restitution, but then we received this document with a lesser amount of restitution on it. I think the original document came from Ms. Sensing. The second document, I'm going to guess that's Ms. DeHoskey's initials.
yes,
That in her pre-sentence investigation, she determined that the correct amount to Mr. Ludi was lesser than what was originally contemplated.
correct. There was about $1,213. I think it was $1,500 that Progressive paid right around there, but there was only a deductible for the victim here of $250 plus. It looks like the insurance did not pay for tires, so I have a receipt for new tires and labor on the tires.
That might be true. I mean,
And that's where they come up with the number.
I've never had insurance pay for my tires either, so I don't know. Okay, Mr. Abbott.
Thank you, Your Honor. And your recounting of the sequence of events matches up with what I have recorded in my notes. Although it does not include the fact that on October 13th, he was discharged from parole. He was on parole during the proceedings. He was discharged from parole on the 13th, and they removed the tether from his ankle. I think it was a 54B or 54A ordered tether, but his parole officer took it off. It was a no contact GPS tether, Your Honor. And if the court will recall, there was an incident where he crossed the radius of the protected individual's apartment, and we came in and you reiterated that he had to stay out of that radius. And
So I think the correspondence we received regarding the tether wasn't that someone else removed it, but that he removed it. You're saying that's not his version.
yeah, I didn't receive that correspondence, Your Honor, but he
I
tells
know
me.
it was in the bench warrant. That's why I'm like, we put it in the bench warrant, but he took the tether off. Find it. I'm on the wrong page. That doesn't help. I think that's important because it looks like he failed to appear at sentence and took his tether off all around the same time.
True. But it was the parole, it's our position, Your Honor, that his parole officer removed the tether.
That'd be really interesting because it says, "Good morning. We received a strap tamper alert from Mr. Ray on 11/29/22, which indicated he removed his GPS tether. At 9:45, the alert was received. At 9:48, our agent contacted Ingham County Dispatch, who sent LPD to the location of removal, 11:15 Dorchester. 10:45, dispatch was contacted for an update. They advised officers were on scene, but were unable to locate the defendant or the device. At this time, we're no longer able to safely monitor the client, have not received any additional updates from LPD." So I guess I'm curious from JSG whether they got their tether back, because DOC can't just go taking tethers off of people that aren't their tethers. That doesn't make any sense. It's a weird story. I'm gonna follow up on it because that's weird.
Thank you, Your Honor. And it's Mr. Ray informs me that he has completed a program, a 60-day program at Bear River.
Okay. When was that?
So that was in October, starting in October and through into December of November 22.
Counsel.
Furthermore, Your Honor, he's employed with Kroger. He's picked up no new cases. He's had no contact with the victim or her family. He says he's had police contact a couple of times in the last 10 months. He identified himself and he was not arrested. He wasn't brought in on a warrant.
You should have known he had something to take care of.
Right. Just relaying what information I've gleaned from my interview. But the good points are that he has no new cases, that he's been clean and sober for 10 months. He's done 38 days in jail so far.
I have 36, or no, 32. I guess Heather wrote Ms. Stahowski because he had 16 and he has 16 again. Where do you get the extra days? Do we know?
Just what he told me.
Okay. She counted 16 when she wrote the initial report, and then she added 16 more for when he got arraigned on this warrant. So.
Came in on the 27th.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
32 days.
I think 32 is accurate.
Yes.
Okay.
I guess I mentioned that he's had no contact with the victim or her parents. He understands that he owes the money for the damage to the vehicle. He's willing to pay that. His aunt is here. She has a stable address on Pack and Drive here in Lansing, which certainly can be used as a mailing address if necessary. So I'd ask the court to consider sentencing in the time that he has served and give him some time to pay out that $781. Thank you.
Mr. Ray, would you like to say anything on your own behalf today?
Yes, yeah. I apologize to the court for my misgivings and the destruction of property of Mr. Luty's van. During that time, I haven't had any contact with him, and I've been reevaluating myself. I took my own initiative, and it felt good to actually do it on my own instead of being court ordered or sanctioned to do it, but to go to rehab on my own. And I stayed longer than I did last time, and I'm really getting something out of it. And with the help of my aunt, I would like to pay the restitution of the $781 and continue to try to go through the front of the court to reestablish communication with my kids through the FOC and hopefully get back to work. I was angry when I destroyed the van, when I threw bricks at it to get the attention of Aaron to talk to me about us getting help. But I learned that you can't force somebody to get help when they're not ready. I wasn't ready. But when I got off parole, not having my kids, That's not an excuse. I'm doing it for me now. And I do apologize to the court for the miscommunication with getting off parole, tether, and everything. I just want to be able to pay for what I got to pay for and move on day by day, one day at a time with my sobriety and staying out of trouble and reestablishing some type of communication with my 4-year-old son and my 2-year-old daughter that I have not seen in over 2 years. And again, I apologize to the court for failure to show up for court. It was just, when I got off parole, I just signed them discharge papers. It's like, and I knew I had a plan then to go get me some help, because if I'm not right, I'm not gonna be good to nobody. And I feel like I'm getting better. I've been clean and sober for the last 9.5 months. And it was an incident when I was out there seeing my kids, and do you know how hard it was not to be able to go up to them in the store? Because I still vaguely remember not being able to keep and implying the court order, no contact, until this whole situation got established. But my son, he's getting big, and I just wanted him to see me, but I couldn't go up to him, and I showed resolve, and I didn't do it. They didn't even see me. So I think that was good on my part. But I'm a little emotional right now, so that's all.
I hear how difficult it's been not to be able to see your kids, which there's not no contact for your kids. There's no contact for Miss Ludy. But so much of this has been your own creation. And you have the power to make choices. One of those choices is how you react in situations. And when you react in a way that's violent, even if you are like, well, I was towards the property. You're the person who's there when your stuff is being destroyed. It can be scary. So hard for me to let the fact you haven't seen your children be sympathetic to that when I know that you created that. You know what I mean? You put yourself here. I'm also reviewing your criminal history, and it's pointed out how much of it there has been, and there's violence on here. In addition to the other things, and we've got several domestic violence convictions, not to mention the times that things were dismissed. We've got, of course, we have tampering with an electronic monitoring device, and I'm supposed to believe your Tether story, and you have a prior conviction for taking the Tether off. And then we have you just not showing up for court for long periods of time.
It's all right with the court. I would just like to ask for benefit of the doubt or whatever you decide. And now that I'm in front of you, there's gonna be no miscommunication on
Okay,
what to do and what not to
Mr.
do.
Ray, I'm going to stop you right now because I just got a response from Jazz G, and I'm going to tell you, lying to me is a problem. This is the response about the tether. And don't tell me your DOC agent took your tether off, because what I'm about to read to you, your DOC agent did not do. Good afternoon. It was retrieved by one of our agents who located the device out in the field on November 30th. I believe near the location of removal. I did have a cut strap and the charger was not located. So tell me again how your DOC agent cut your tether off of you and threw it in the field.
When I got out parole, October 13th,
The tether was removed on or about November 28th, the day you missed court. Mr. Ray, tell me another story.
I cut the tether off.
Yep, you cut the tether off. Mr. Ray, if that's how you're going to conduct yourself in court today, you cannot ask me for the benefit of the doubt.
I was just scared and nervous.
I already believed you cut your tether off. So telling me this ridiculous story now just makes me believe that you're still not in a spot where you're ready to be honest and take responsibility. Because I already believed you took your tether off. So if you would have come in here and said, yep, I took off my tether that day, it was a bad choice, that would have just been consistent with what I already believed. But instead, you went out of your way to tell me a ridiculous story about how DOC removed your tether, thereby causing you to be in violation against your will. You are not in a place today any different than you were last time if you continue to tell these lies. A person who's ready to move on, a person who's ready to grow and to take responsibility for themselves does not do that.
I was just scared and I was nervous. You can be intimidating person. from
You
down
told
here.
all of that to Mr. Abbott. He's not intimidating. I'm only intimidating because right now I'm calling you out on your falsities, right?
But that's the only thing I have.
I mean, Mr. Ray, I hope if nothing else, I have a reputation for being fair, even when I'm tough.
Yes, ma'am.
You're making this really hard. Generally, I don't want to take a man who has a job who's gone through rehab and cause him to lose his job. But generally, a person who comes through the court with your criminal record, who's continuing to engage in this kind of behavior, probably needs consequences. How am I going to believe that you're ever going to pay any of this restitution?
Helping my aunt Linda and sitting in the back.
Feel bad for her if she helps you out, because are you ever going to pay her back?
I do work for her and around her house all the time. And money that she gives me, I'll just continue to start having her hold for me, and she can be the liaison and paying Mr. Moody back instead of me having to go and do it myself.
Well, you can't pay Ludi yourself. You got to pay it to the court so we can track that it gets paid.
Well, she has a history. She's been working with the state for a long time, so believe me, she'll be on me.
This got to go through the court so that we can keep track that he's getting in.
If that's okay with you, you working and you make sure it get paid through the court, whatever I make with you. Working around the house and stuff like that. Can I say something?
Mr. Adder, would you talk to his aunt? I just am concerned that he's putting her in a position. I don't know what her plan is. What time's our wedding? We can do that. We'll try to get Mr. Abbott to stay.
No, not me. Not make the payment, but make sure I give you money to get to the courts while I'm working for you at the house.
Your Honor, I don't think that plan's gonna work.
Yeah, Mr. Ray needs to be responsible for himself. I mean, that's really what we need.
Well, I'll make sure I can
I mean, Mr. Ray.
keep my lawyer.
Okay, I decided to look at your birthday because I'm like, man, you have lived enough life to know that you need to be responsible for you, right? I'm not talking to one of those young people who come in who are struggling to take responsibility. You've been around. I don't know why you're trying to get other people to take responsibility for you.
Well, I just want somebody to have,
To hold you accountable?
yes, to see that I can't do this. Like, I can't do this. I apologize for lying.
Yeah.
I get caught up in myself sometimes. I get nervous sometimes, like I am now. All my life, I've been in and out of incarceration. And it's hard sometimes to take responsibility for myself. But I worked hard to get off of parole, and I did do that much. And I did do my recovery on my own. And it was like a goal of mine. And now that I got that cut off of me, I did it. Yes, I did it. It's a weight lifted off of me. I'm sorry I lied to the court. It won't happen again.
So you you just told me you were at Bear River from like October to December or something.
60 days.
Yeah, the timeline doesn't make sense with the day that you cut your tether off and left it in the field here locally. So that 60 days
No,
wasn't
it was-
October to
I
December.
actually went to Bear River. I did do that.
Yeah, I'm saying the time frame don't line up with what you said and what I'm hearing about the tether doesn't line up.
You can call them. I actually went to them. Picked me up at CMH.
Mm-hmm.
Went to get the time, got my gold coin
Mm-hmm.
on pretense that I will be back. I am. I am.
You what?
I do plan on going back.
Going back to Bear River?
Yes.
You just told me you spent 9 months sober. Why are you going back to Bear River?
To just keep it in me, just to not want to. Lansing, everywhere I go in Lansing, there's people I know, stuff like that. The environment up there is nobody I know, fresh new faces, learning something more about myself up there than I would here. And say like at the place y'all have out by the jail or
Talking about like House of Commons.
House of Commons, Rise, places like that. Relapses all around it. And being up there, scenery, the people, they actually getting to know me and not a lot. And if I could keep in touch with the court weekly, you per se, on my progress, and personally, I don't know how much I'll be able to bring once a week in a money order to the courts, but I can guarantee you it'll be $15 to $20 a week. First week I missed, it's violation.
So I'm not gonna place you on probation, but it would be a bench warrant if you don't follow through on the payment plan or contact us if you're having a problem. So, Mr. Ray, based on your continued history of criminal conduct and your efforts to deceive the court today, your sentence is 60 days jail with credit for the 32 you've already done. Now, I gave you more jail, but I didn't give you the 365 I could give you because I don't think destruction of property is worthy of a whole year in the county. I have a $25 fine, a $75 crime victim rights fee, $50 state minimum cost, and restitution for Mr. Ludi of $781.13 for a total of $1,031.13. Of all that money, $25 goes to our court. The rest goes to the state and Mr. Ludi.
When would I start?
So I'm putting your payment plan, because I know you got to get out and get back working, at $50 a month beginning October 2nd. Now, a couple things about that. Firstly, if October 2nd is coming, you're not going to have $50, you can contact my office and ask to extend that. When I say my office, I literally mean my office, not the clerk's office. These people who sit here, Mr. Warrensley, Ms. Giesinger, they're the ones you want to talk to about an extension of payment. The other is, you mentioned paying weekly or something like that. You can do that. I'm just ordering it be monthly, so you can pay weekly, and so it adds up to an amount by the end of the month, or you just pay at the end of the month, or the beginning of the month, I should say, October 2nd, the total amount. But you do have to make these payments. Restitution is not waivable.
When do I get to start?
Well, I said October 2nd. So, but if October 2nd comes and you don't have $50, you're going to be contacting my office. You can call them, you can come down here, we're open, and talk to us about getting more time, okay?
I can have $50 next week.
Okay, well, that's what I'm ordering. Now, you can pay more to pay it off faster, but I've set a reasonable amount because I know that you have to get out of jail, see if you still have a job or have to find a new job, and you have other expenses in life. So that's why $50 a month, I think, is reasonable.
And I have to spend another 60 days in jail.
Your sentence is 60 days with credit for 32. So that means you get your good time. So on a 60-day sentence, you get 5 days good time. So it's 55 minus 32. So that's what you have left on your sentence.
32 days.
55 minus 32. What does that work out to? Is that 23? 23 days left.
So 23 days have $50.
Well, no. 23 days left on your sentence. $50 by October 2nd and on the 2nd of each month thereafter. Okay?
Right.
Okay. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
October 2nd, $50.
That's your first payment. And then you gotta keep paying until you paid $1,031.13.
Okay.
Remember, it's the restitution. It's this crime victim rights fee that I have to pay to the state. But did I add this up wrong? It feels, I'll do it again. $25 fine to our court. That's the only amount of money our court will get to keep. $75 crime victim rights fee, which is a non-waivable fee we have to pay the state. $50 state minimum cost, again, a non-waivable fee that we have to pay the state. So that's $150 plus $781.13. Oh, I don't know how I got off. It's $931.13. I don't know how I added up wrong. I really should use a spreadsheet. $931.13. That's the total you have to pay to be done. Okay? So that's how the number came out. So you have to pay $50 a month or more if you can afford it and you want to get this done with until $931.13 is paid off. Okay? Mr. Ray, you have a few more days in jail to do. You need to think about whether this is what you want to keep doing. Because, sir, you come into court with like a record that's pages long and you're still telling stories. All of that is beyond you now. Since I gave you a jail sentence, you have the right to appeal. If you'd like to appeal my sentence and you need a public defender to assist, you need to make your application within 14 days.
Technically, it's 3 weeks left in jail.
Yep. Anything else from the lawyers?
Not from the people, Your Honor.
Not from the defense, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that lie cost him some time in jail. It's a good thing he had some banked, but he still has to spend, 3 weeks more, I think, is what they said. But, and the other thing is he must not have thought that the tracker, the ankle monitor, would give out a signal if it wasn't charged. I hope you enjoyed the video and thank you so much for watching. See you next time.